So I was working at a kind of a fine dining restaurant as a bartender for a while, and I was working with another man named Bill, and it was one of the high holidays for working in the industry, so that either means it was New Year's or it was Valentine's Day. I can't tell you which. I just know that I was wearing my better bartending uniform that day with a tie, so it was definitely a formal day. I didn't have 110% in me to give the customers that day, and I kind of turned to my fellow bartender Bill and I said, "Hey Bill, what are you doing with your life?" And he said, "I'm going to WCTC for IT." And I was like, "Okay, cool." And that night I went home and I applied for the program, and I started into the WCTC's Java programming program, and I learned to program in Java. That was great. I actually ended up getting an internship immediately after that program, and I worked for Wells Fargo and a number of different FinTech companies for a bit, and that all was going well, but it was more of a support role, dealing more with ticketing systems and dealing with like application support and things like that. So not really a lot of OT in those roles. I was moving to Madison at that time, and I was starting to look for roles, and I came across a contract gig over at Madison Power and Electric. So I did a quick phone call for this role. It was just they needed someone to come in and do help desk for them. Their help desk staff had left. They had no one in the role. They needed someone to come in like literally Monday, and I was probably interviewing on Friday afternoon. So the interview on the phone went well. They said, "Why don't you just show up on Monday and why don't we just do this?" I started working there. It was supposed to be like just a fill-in role for like 6 weeks. It turned into about a year. Got to work with a lot of their systems, different scanners, things like that. I assume that this mark on my resume is probably what led to me getting hired on here at Verve and starting my path into OT. After leaving that contract, I ended up working at a couple other places. This is like junior dev roles and stuff like that. Finally, I saw an application, or not an application, a listing for a role over at Verve Industrial Protection. So I looked into that role, gave a call, did an interview with a few of the people there. Went over well enough, and they hired me on as a lab assistant role, which was really not defined. They needed someone during the COVID times to turn devices on and off, and they felt like my background was good enough to unplug things and plug things back in. So I started working as a lab technician here at Verve. They were just weird gadgets bolted to walls to me. I never really paid much attention to them before. And I came in, I remember my first day working in the lab. I was working alone in the lab by myself, and made a lot of interesting choices that first couple of weeks. I really wanted the job, wanted to impress people, so I was doing a lot of Googling, a lot of reading on my own to kind of just fill in that imposter syndrome thing. So probably cut some cords that I probably shouldn't have cut, and there were probably some safety issues that, like, looking back, I'm really glad that I'm alive. See, I worked in the lab for about a year, and I started working with devices. Like, I think the first real weird one to me that came in was a SCADAPack 350. It came in, it sat on my desk, and I didn't know how to turn it on, and then I didn't know how to get it to talk to my computer. And so I sat there for probably about 4 hours reading up on SCADAPacks and SCADA technology, and looking at different software packages like Telespace Studio and a couple different things. And finally, I got the thing to talk to my laptop after about 4 hours. And it's this particular device that, like, I think we turned a corner. I was like, oh, I can do this. I just have to research enough. Every day is a new technology working here. Gotten to spin up all kinds of different, like, virtualization systems, played with so many different types of devices that I don't think I would have ever had the excuse to play with. It's been a ball for me. You know, when I think about it, it is kind of ridiculous that I might be running like the America's largest OT cybersecurity lab. That is, I went like 5 years ago, I was making Cosmos. Like that is, it's turned into quite a little career here. it's such a big field. You just pick a piece of it that you are close to or that you're interested in, or randomly just kind of like find a topic and just start reading around that. And like, I think the commitment to just like putting an hour or two every day or a weekly consistent like session where you build on that. Right now I've been basically using Sunday nights to do like I can squeak a couple hours away from the family to just do a little testing and a little enrichment. And I think if you have that burner, that drive to just do a little enrichment, learn a little bit more and keep building on it, you're going to build a vast set of tools eventually. You might not have something that you can market on month like 1 or 2, but like if you continuously go back to the well and just keep messing with technologies, eventually you're going to realize that like you can't, it's hard to quantify what you know, but you know a lot. And that's cybersecurity. It's such a wide field. It's even if you only are an inch deep, but you know a lot, you can cover a lot of that ground. You're valuable. Like, is people think of cybersecurity as being like the most like high end, like high tech, like you're always, the way that they see it in movies. And it's like, no, I read through a very old manual and I found a maintenance password that no one knew about. More and more as I've talked to our customers or talked to like, technicians that have worked in the field, it's really what happens in the field. They work on these systems long enough to get them working, and then they leave them running for who knows how long. That the person that set it up might no longer be there. People are just kind of maintaining it through like, well, that's always been running, so it will stay running probably. So like you have varying, like when we look at customer setups or different environments that we might find, you find the weirdest things. And I'm really blessed to be in a testing lab. I know a lot of these people have to learn these technologies on the fly. I have the ability to set something up, and if it catches on fire, it's just the matter of buying a new device versus like I ruined an entire production run of a product or something like that. It's been really cool. I gotta say, like every once in a while I wake up and I'll come to work and like my biggest problem is like, what new thing do I have to learn about today? Like, and that's not a bad problem to have really, if you approach it with the right attitude.